This webinar seeks FCDO. Its purpose is to provide a platform that bridges the gap between emerging researchers and established experts, facilitating valuable discussions and knowledge sharing. The topic for today's session is the mental health burden of unequal empowerment, a study of Bangladeshi women using the Demographic Health Survey 2022 data. This research explores the intersection of gender inequality and mental health, which remains an essential area for study, particularly in understanding the nuanced experiences of women in Bangladesh. We're pleased to have with us Mr. Shahid Zubair bin Hussain, lecturer in the Department of Economics at the University of Dhaka, who will be presenting his work on this important topic. Moderating this session is our very own Dr. Deen Islam, Research Director at RAPID, who will lead the discussion and facilitate the question-answer session. With that, now I would like to hand over to Dr. Deen Islam to introduce the topic further and begin the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Deen, sir, over to you.
Thank you, Jara, for your nice introduction. And thank you, Jubair. Jubair is a very bright young economist doing many interesting research. So we'll hear from Jubair today. But before we go to Jubair, let me now request our Executive Director of RAPID, Yusuf sir, if he can kindly share a few words with us.
Thank you, Dr. Din. As usual, we are having our monthly webinar, which is we have been doing this, I think, for a long time. Nowadays, also we are broadcasting this through social media. So, at the outset, I would like to congratulate Mr. Syed Zubair bin Hussain, faculty member in the Department of Economics, Dhaka University, and also focusing on such an important issues, basically mental health. Usually we are talking about physical health. Everyone is concerned on the physical health issues, but mental health burden and also with particular focus on empowerment issues using demographic and health survey. I think the study output will be useful, not only our RAPID staff, but also those who are attending in the social media. Hope we will have a interactive session on this issue, and the participants will be enormously benefited through this discussion. Zubair, again, thank you very much for your participation in the RAPID webinar series. Thank you, Dr. Din. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Yusuf sir, for your encouraging word. Let me now, without wasting any more time, I would like to request Zubair to share his research in next 20 to 25 minutes. Jubair.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dean sir. Thank you, Yusuf sir. And thank you, RAPID, for giving me the opportunity to show my working paper. So this is still a work in progress, but I just want to share my results with everyone here. So what I have done is I want to see the mental health burden of unequal empowerment. So firstly, there are a few in the literature, there are a few research on how if we increase the empowerment of women, we see that there is a significant effect on decreasing the mental health burden of the women, right. So the reason behind those is that the agency and autonomy. So if they have restricted autonomy, then they have heightened anxiety and depression because it reduces their helplessness, increases their helplessness, right? And if we increase empowerment, then they will be independent to make choices and also take decisions on mental health, recovery, and etc. And then there is also resource access. So if there is lower education or lower economic resources, then it was related to chronic stress and reduced coping capacity. Then there are critical consciousness. So if they thought that they were oppressed or they had less self-worth, then that was also related to higher degree of mental health issues. Then also there is if women are less empowered, then they have social dependencies, and that would cause them to be limited from social participation, which might also increase mental health problems. So what I try to do is to check if a woman, if she lives in a very unequal society where there is very unequal empowerment among women, does that affect women's mental health? Right. So if the women's empowerment inequality increases, that I assume that that would decrease the stress exposure of women, that would decrease the perceived control. So does the woman perceive that she can actually control her mental health, or she can ask for help, or she can get help regarding mental health? And that if there is unequal empowerment, that means there is unequal there's lack of social support, and which all might cause higher mental health conditions. Okay. So as I am using the Demographic and Health Survey 2022, I have brought out 4 empowerment indicators that I used in my study. So first is women's education attainment. This includes if the woman has gone to school and how much they have studied. Then there was women's financial inclusion. Then women's attitude towards wife beating, and women's decision-making autonomy. How many decisions in a household can the woman make? So I have created the inequality measurement using just standard deviation. So firstly, in the data, I have coded the education as no education as 0, incomplete primary as 1, complete primary as 2, incomplete secondary as 3, complete secondary as 4, and if they have done higher education, that would be 5. Then as I want to check the community inequality, that's why I took PSU as a proxy for the community. So in each community, I have calculated the standard deviation of education attainment. So higher the standard deviation, that means higher inequality of education attainment among the women in the community. Similarly, financial inclusion. So I have used 3 indicators for this. So if the woman is in paid employment, where in the data there was women who were paid with goods, they were not included in this indicator. So women who are in paid employment, that means they're getting a wage for their employment. That was one indicator, and then whether they had access to bank account, that was the second indicator, and whether they used any mobile financial services for their daily use. And so the woman financial inclusion score was calculated, as these are all binary variables. These were calculated as a summative index. So if the woman had none of the indicators, that means the woman was not employed, the woman did not have any bank account, and the woman did not use mobile financial services, that woman would have a value of 0 of financial inclusion, and the woman would have a maximum of 3 if they had all the financial inclusion indicators. Similarly, the inequality of financial inclusion was measured using the standard deviation of financial inclusion score that I have said just now, and for each PSU. Again, higher standard deviation measures greater inequality within those PSUs or communities. The third indicator was women's attitude towards wife beating. So there were, I think, 5 indicators where in the survey the woman was asked if it was justified to beat the wife if the wife goes out without telling the husband, if the wife neglects the child, if the wife argues with the husband, if the wife refuses to have sexual relation with the husband, if the wife burns the food. And again, each of the indicators were binary. So 1, if the woman believes that it is justified to beat the wife, and 0 otherwise. And then the score was created again by summing the binary indicators with minimum value of 0, which means no, the woman did not believe in any of the attitude towards wife beating measures, and maximum of 5 if they believed all were justified. And again, similarly, the standard deviation of each community was measured. Lastly, the woman's decision-making autonomy. Here we took if the woman as an individual takes all these decisions. So if the woman can, as an individual, can take decision of herself, healthcare, of large household purchases, of visits to family or relatives, and what to do with the partner's money. So the binary, if the woman as an individual took the decision, and 0 otherwise. The score again with a minimum value of 0, where the woman did not take any of the decisions independently, and a maximum of 4 if the woman took all the decisions independently. And again, the standard deviation for each PSU is taken as my inequality measure. So here we can see the distribution of my inequality measures. So we can see that there is inequality in education, inequality in financial inclusion, and inequality in the wife beating inequality score, and also the wife. I think I have repeated the table here. So there is a distribution of inequality measures in the data. Right. Okay. So in the 2022 Demographic and Health Survey, this is a new module that they have included just for this survey, is the mental health of the in the women's questionnaire. So they were asked over the last 2 weeks how often did they have been bothered, or they had these following problems. So there were 16 of these questions where they could answer as never, rarely, often, or always. So I've coded those as, if they said never, then it's 0, rarely, then it's 1, often if it's 2, and always 3. Then again, I made a summative index to give the woman their mental health score ranging from 0 to 48. So here is the distribution of the mental health score among women in Bangladesh. So we can see that much of the women in Bangladesh have very low mental health problems. However, there is some distribution and skewness in the data. Okay. So the data used again is our 2022 Bangladesh Demographic and Health Survey. This was done by the National Institute of Population Research and Training, and technical assistance from ISF and the DHS program. So the survey used a 2-stage stratified clusters design to ensure national and divisional representativeness. A total of about 30,000 households were interviewed, among which 17,622 married women only. So the data set only includes, for this analysis, only includes married women, because they are the only one who completed the mental health module. Okay. So there are two. For my regression analysis, I use two regression analysis methodology. So here, because I have used the mental health as a score, so that is a count variable. So the best method to use for count variable is Poisson regression. However, because the data is skewed, my mental health score is skewed, and there is over dispersion, that means mean is greater than the variance, then the negative binomial regression is the best regression method to use for this analysis. Secondly, as there was a lot of dispersion and over dispersion in the data, I want to see how this empowerment inequality impacted different parts of the mental health score distribution. So I wanted to check if it affected women with higher mental health problems or women with moderately lower mental health problems. So using these inequality measures and other confounding variables like education, education of partner, age, rural, urban, geographical divisions, I have used the negative binomial regression to perform this regression. And the negative binomial regression, another benefit of using the negative binomial regression is that they give me the incident rate ratio. So this tells me the incidence of higher of scoring of a woman scoring higher in the mental health score. So we can see that three of the four inequality measurements, education inequality, financial inclusion inequality, and women's attitude towards wife beating inequality, these all increase was positively associated with increasing the mental health score. Right. Then these are the results of my count quantile regression method. So here we can see is that first my the education inequality effect. So we can see that education inequality in the 10th and 20th percentile of my mental health score had the highest effect, and then it sharply dropped, and then it increased again after the 16th percentile, but at a slower rate. Similar results are seen for financial inclusion inequality, where it had the highest effect among the 10th and 20th percentile. That means lower mental health score women on increasing their mental health, and then it sharply decreased. The same was true for women's attitude towards wife beating. The only different result here I got is that for the women's decision-making inequality, it was insignificant, but for the highest quantile of my highest percentile of my mental health score, it had a significant positive effect of increasing mental health issues. So that was my results. So what I have found is that so what I can see is that education inequality, financial inclusion inequality, and attitude towards wife beating inequality are significantly associated with higher mental health burden among married women in Bangladesh. And decision-making inequality was not statistically significant, but showed some significance at higher quantiles in the quantile regression. And other confounding analysis that I did, I saw that higher women's and partners' education and higher household wealth was associated with lower mental health issues, which I can think of as protective factors. So if we go back here, we can see that education significantly impacts both high and low ends of the mental health spectrum. But however, there is at the lower percentile, there is a greater effect compared to the higher percentile, suggesting the influence. There's a pervasive influence across mental health severity level. So inequality affects more to people who have lower mental health, so it can be associated with people who does not have mental health issues or have lower mental health issues, but if they feel that they are in a very unequal society, that might create inequality. Um, Similarly, for my financial inclusion inequality, and so that means inequitable access to financial resources also exacerbate mental health distress, and it affects highest towards it affects higher for people who are in the lower spectrum of the mental health issues. Similarly, for women's attitude towards wife beating inequality, this also shows that um, community norms and intra-community variations are critical stressors for mental health issues, and that means, and it also is higher for women who are in the lower mental health um, spectrum. So using the quantile regression, we can see that there is a heterogeneous effect across mental health distribution, which cannot only be answered by using the mean-based models, and this also confirms that empowerment inequalities do not affect all women equally, and we can see that women with lower mental health scores are more severely affected by community level inequalities, and so for policy implications, I have thought that programs should, any program that wants to improve mental health among women, they should consider not only individual level empowerment, but they should also consider improving community level inequality, community level equity. So the limitation of my research is, again, because this is a cross-sectional data set, I cannot give any causal interpretation of this result. However, we can see that there is some type of association between mental health issues and empowerment inequality, right? So my contribution to the literature is that this study bridges the gap between empowerment inequality and mental health literature in a low-income country context. And this has also used count quantile regression for analyzing mental health incidents. And we have seen that this also highlights the multidimensional nature of empowerment inequalities. Right. That's all from me. Thank you, and would love some comments and criticism for my paper.
Thank you so much, Jubair, for very interesting presentation. Very interesting idea indeed. And since the paper, I guess, is still work in progress, so you might benefit from comments and
Yes.
suggestion people might have here. So let me now open the floor and ask anyone here attending the Zoom meeting or anyone on watching online. If you have any question here, please unmute or raise your hand. You can ask any question. You can provide suggestion or feedback of what Jubair is doing. Um, or if you have any comment, feel free to share those comments. So the floor is open. If you have any question, please raise your hand. And if someone can inform us the questions uh, from the Facebook or from the online, that would be good. So any question?
Hello, sir.
Well,
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
yes, certainly. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Jubair, sir. It was a wonderful presentation. I personally learned a lot from this. I have one question, which is why you choose the standard deviation for measuring inequality. Uh, I may skip the part, or you didn't explain the part. Why do you choose standard deviation to represent the inequality of mental health? Thank you.
Very good question, Saiful. Thank you for your question. Let me take first few questions, then we can go back to Dubai. Any other question? Anyone else? Any comment or question? But before I go back to Dubai, let me now give my observations. Uh, Very interesting work, Dubai. Uh, Very interesting idea. So, an interesting idea is just the most difficult part, and you already accomplished this part. But I have some clarifying questions like you are using four dimensions to measure empowerment, women empowerment. Are those dimensions theoretically motivated, or what are the justifications? Why this only four dimensions? Is there any previous work that to justify those dimensions? Just a clarifying question. Another thing is that you are measuring wife beating mentality, right? So in that case, if 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 a woman agrees that the beating is justified, you are assigning a value of one. Am I correct?
Yes.
So shouldn't be opposite. I mean, if she agrees that because because she accidentally bought the food and she's beaten, if a woman think that is justified. So should we consider her as an empowered woman, or she actually her mentality is subservient or like not very independent? This is just my one observation. Another observation is similar to what Saiful's question. So you are measuring inequality at using standard deviation. I think standard deviation is a fair measure of inequality. Uh, but the thing is that uh, given the social interaction in the uh, current social life, so uh, when this will be an important factor, when women can interact and know their these different indicators of empowerment, then they might feel anxious or stressed. But especially in urban setting, it's very rare that women from one flat has communicated to another flat or from one home to another home. So social communication is very rare, especially in urban areas. So do you think that way of measuring inequality at PSU is suitable? I might have few other comment, but any other comment? Let me hear from the audience. Okay, Juba, you can briefly respond or clarify. Please go ahead.
Thank you for your comment, sir. So I'll first talk about the why I use standard deviation. So firstly, if as all my um, independent variables, these are all categorical variables, and that's why I have not used Gini, and I have used standard deviation at this, as this gives me at the PSU level, this gives me how different everyone's um, um, in empowerment inequality was, right? So this the standard deviation tells me if everyone had their values very close to each other, their standard deviation would be very low. And if there's a lot of over dispersion and there was a lot of variance between these values, then the standard deviation would be very high. And so that's why I took standard deviation as the measure for inequality and not Gini or any other measurements. And the fourth dimensions, yes, sir, these are not all the dimensions of empowerment, but these are the four dimensions that I have talked about. These are all in the literature where they have talked about how decision-making autonomy, financial inclusion, education, and attitude towards wife beating, or how these are all uh, increases or decreases the empowerment of women. However, I could only choose these four because these are the only four indicators that were available in the data set. So these are justified by the literature. And yes, that's one problem of women are the interaction level between in urban and rural setting. So the most I could do is to control for urban and rural residents. That was my only way to control for the interaction if rural women interact more or urban women interact. To control for that, I just have used a rural dummy. So yes, mostly I think.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for
Uh,
your response.
and
Do you want
yes,
to
any
respond to other questions?
did I miss any? Yes, I'm fine if there are any other questions or
Anyone else have any question or comment? Meanwhile, let me
right.
jump
Oh,
in
sir, I
and
think I missed one question. Sorry. You said about I have used wife beating and if it's justified. So this is more from how women their self-reflection of their empowerment. So this also again is in the literature how if a woman is empowered, then they also feel that it's not justified for any reason to beat up a wife, and so that's why I've used this variable for the wife beating attitude towards wife beating variable.
yeah, you are absolutely right that this is an important indicator for empowerment. But my question was the way you are assigning 0 and 1,
Yeah,
you assign 1 if a woman responded that beating is
right,
justified if food is burned.
right.
But that means that the greater score means higher empowered, right?
No, the greater score here means lower empowerment. So sorry, I think I should um, change the order of the, yes, sir. I can do that. But here the greater score, because my focus here was mostly actually inequality. That's
Okay.
why I did not
Okay, that makes
uh,
sense.
about
So
the audit case.
I have one more, I have few other observations. You might have a good explanation about your, but it's mainly for my learning purpose. So you are using nonlinear model, negative binomial,
Right,
the quantile regression. But the thing is that obviously there will be some endogeneity issue, right?
right,
Because the PSUs or the women have many unobserved characteristics. Those are correlated with, I mean, many household and individual characteristics that are correlated with stress and also the level of different level of empowerment, different type of empowerment. So when we have like endogeneity issue and when you use a nonlinear model like negative binomial or quantile, the estimator become less efficient. So if uh, And since your outcome variable, your dependent variable varies from 0 to 48,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So I think it would be a good idea to have a benchmark linear model and maybe compared to the negative binomial. Because since there is a potential issue of endogeneity here, then the estimates might be less efficient, the estimate of OLS.
Right.
Another issue is that your dependent variable is measured at individual level,
Right.
but your independent variables are at PSU level,
At PSU level.
right? So, is it an issue like you have different level of variation, or why shouldn't you just use the inequality in the score as a dependent variable, the outcome variable? Uh, I mean, inequality in stress, regression in inequality in empower. Why not? Yeah. Another thing, interesting thing is that I was expecting that in quantum integration, the women, if you can please go back to that figures of quantum integration, you probably explained it a bit that at the women who are less stressed, uh, even though the effect of educational inequality is very high there, right?
Right.
But it should be opposite, right? I mean, uh, if it should be like upward sloping, not downward sloping. As we
Right.
have
Um, so th-
higher quantile or percentile of stress, the effect should be more pronounced where educational inequality is higher. So how do you rationalize? I mean, is there any important variable omitted or uh, so? I mean, you need to actually explain why the result actually giving different from what we can expect. Uh, these are my few observations. But before you respond, let me ask anyone else any question? Very interesting idea, and we actually encourage young people to engage and actually think critically that how this exercise is done and what is the beauty of this exercise and how what are the limitations of the exercise and how each one of us can generate such kind of idea and do such kind of analysis. So this is the learning platform we would like to have to learn from a young researcher. Anyone else have any comment? Okay, Zubair, go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for your comments. I will try these out. So, you're saying I have to regress. I can regress the inequality of mental health in a PSU with my inequality measurement, so that I have community level outcomes. So I will look into that. Yes, all this is also surprising to me. Why uh, women in the lower quantiles of the mental health distribution there have higher effect of inequality. I'm still looking into the literature and trying to figure out what is the reason. Um, One reason I have found, but it's still not a very strong proof. There's no strong evidence. The thing is, women in higher mental health quantiles, percentiles, they are actually these theories are coming from sociology and anthropology and etc. So these are that they actually get detached from the community. So women with higher mental health, they're very they live a very solitary life, and then they're actually less bothered about what is happening in the community and more about what is happening to themselves. So that is one reason I found. But I still don't think that's a very good reason to explain my results. But I'm still looking into it. Thank you for your comments. So here, mostly I have found that women in the higher quantas, they're actually detached from society, and they're actually very antisocial. And so anything that is happening in the society is not affecting them that much. So,
I think that might be a good explanation. Like after 60th percentile,
right,
it just doesn't matter.
right.
Society
And it's
is not
similar
the
for all the three. So after 50th, 60th, you see that it's actually becoming very constant, the effect. So that was one explanation that I got.
very interesting. Thank you, Jubair. Any other comment? Anyone else? Any comment? Okay, now before I finish the session, uh, now request Yusuf sir, if you have any observation or suggestion for Jubair. Sir, can you hear us? Yusuf sir? Okay. I think sir might forgive me at this moment. So let me now thank again Jubair for sharing very interesting research, and we wish you all the best for this paper. And I hope you will share your other research in future on this platform. I would like to thank everyone here for taking their time to join this webinar. And I hope you have learned something new today. And we hope that we'll be inspired to do similar research. And if you do such similar research, uh, we'll be happy to share your research on this platform. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night and see you next month, next time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.